episode 318 of the TV Dudes, recorded January 27th, 2021. Points of View. This week we're talking about points of view, whether it's the multiple lives and twisted backstory of Lupin on Netflix, the strange magic of In and of Itself on Hulu, or the multiple people with very conflicting views of our protagonist on Batwoman on CW. But before we get to that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And we're the TV Dudes. Guys, I feel like our TV watching was a little thin this week. I think when we get to the TV Diary, y'all are going to hear that we all dove into some kind of comfort food TV this week.
Yeah. I'm also realizing from the TV Diary this week that, oh my God, my TV watching dropped off a lot. It's still a ton of TV.
Yeah, I realized that too. When I looked at my list, I was like, oh, I still watched a lot of TV.
Yeah.
More TV than an average, man.
Yes, I have dropped, like Andre the Giant did a no drink in January.
In Austin, we get this great weather. We don't get the normal winter. So we have to wait for like the TV shows to start sucking for us to go, oh yeah, it's winter. That's how we know the season.
Yeah, that's how we know the season. That's a good point, Kyle.
It's not spring, summer, fall. It's pilot season, sweeps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now we're in what is it? What is it when a season breaks at Christmas? It's like the part B season. Yeah,
right.
The winter break half.
Well, it's like they moved Stranger Things. We used to know Stranger Things when Halloween was coming, because it's still like 75 degrees here on Halloween. We knew it was Halloween time when Stranger Things would come on. Now they moved it. Now I don't even know what Halloween is.
Right. I mean, I only know it's Christmas because of Christmas Story.
Exactly.
They were nice to do that to make sure we definitely knew it was Christmas and to buy lots of stuff and consumerism and obey. And
it's like you turn the TV on and you flip it to every channel and it's just Christmas Story 24 hours from like it must be Christmas Day.
And then one day you go, oh, Christmas must be over because all that shit isn't on the TV anymore.
I guess I should take the tree down.
Is this daytime TV? There's no parades, nothing. Is it not Christmas?
Well, all right. It is time to check in on the power rankings.
Right. So anyone can tell you what they like, but if you want to know what's good, well, you're going to need to talk to an old friend of ours, the internet. All right. It's a simple recipe. IMDb plus the RT gets you the TVD power rankings. All right. 300 points. That puts you on top. Want to see what the top shows are for this week, guys?
Let's do it.
Yep.
According to everyone's opinions as aggregated by the internet. Yeah. And again, if you haven't been keeping up, new year, new power rankings. This year, we got shows being cycled out and then cycled in every week. We're doing this like 6-week scale. So the big shows to leave from last week were The Mandalorian. And then also kind of interesting, there's a little bit of a shakeup. You know, a couple points here, a couple points there. Real quick, the top of our list, tied for number 9, skipping right past 10. It's my boys over on PBS.
I can't believe PBS is in the top 10. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is critically, these have pretty high rankings. And then at least for this, Miss Scarlet and the Duke, the audience score on there is pretty high. This is also Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I know last week had 0s on Rotten Tomatoes, so I didn't check the numbers. I imagine it's not a lot of people that have written in yet, and it's probably been some pretty good buzz. It just started on January 17th is when season 2 premiered, but off to a good start. You know, one of the things, just kind of looking at some of the other numbers, I noticed WandaVision and Star Trek Discovery, for some reason last week, were just taking little dips. Like people were just getting in there like less than average negative reviews on those shows.
I just realized WandaVision isn't in the top 10, which is weird because all my friends are talking about WandaVision. It's all they talk about.
Yeah, and it dropped probably about 4 numbers from last week. And yeah, just some of these other shows that have jumped in. So Miss Scarlet and the Duke is the first one. The other one is All Creatures Great and Small, which looks kind of like this British detective show over on PBS. Those are tied. But
So,
then above
Kyle,
that,
is Miss Scarlet and the Duke? I'm just going to guess because I haven't seen it. Is it about GI Joe?
But it's like Hardcastle and McCormick, but Hasbro properties.
Yeah, I thought maybe that Miss Scarlet and the Duke was like they were reskinning the GI Joe team as like a Victorian love story.
How great would that be if you're pitching your Victorian love story to PBS and they're like, "How do you come up with these ideas?" And it's like, "I grew up in the '80s. I'm a big GI Joe fan. Do you have any of these toys? I mean, Miss Scarlet and the Duke? Nobody?
I don't know if you remember the arc with Baroness, folks, but
I was always shipping Scarlet and Duke. By the way, the Baroness also sounds like a PBS show. So
right?
If you throw in Destro, that's when you start to clue him in. But if you were to say the Baroness, Scarlet and Duke, people be like, yeah, that sounds like a PBS show.
Oh man, Bridgerton season 2 should have a chrome-headed dude.
Les, you got to get us a meeting with Masterpiece Classics.
Yes.
We got to make the new classics. Like what is surely to be a classic, number 8, This Is Us, 255 out of 300 on our list. Everybody loves this show. I'm not surprised. 93 Rotten Tomato critic score. That's pretty high over there.
Wow.
People talk about this season 5. Also on NBC, The Blacklist, season 8.
That show is still on?
Yeah. Right above This Is Us, 256 out of 300.
Apparently all secrets are about to be revealed from what I saw in some ad.
Oh, and they got a spinoff too? Oh, it's up there. Number 6, a show that I know very little about in its second season, great rankings, and that is Discovery of Witches over on Shudder. Dropped its whole season on January 8th. You can binge season 2 now. And yeah, I'm really excited to check this out because all these lists that I've been, looking at, it's always ranked really high in each area. So I just wish I knew what it was about so I could give you more info.
I believe is it about
now here's where
witches. I think.
Yeah. You think it's about witches?
But like new witches, like they just discovered them. Either that or maybe it's like a murder of crows or something like maybe a discovery is the grouping name of witches. I don't we'll have to watch the show.
Or maybe it's a documentary on Discovery.
It's true.
You guys aren't Googling this, are you?
Nope.
Just double checking. It sounded really accurate.
No, we're using our Maze Runner approach.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Gosh, one of the most epic Patreons ever. So here's where the list starts to get dicey, and this is probably why WandaVision isn't in here. That and the fact that, like, what's going on? But no, number 5, Euphoria season 2 comes back January 24th on HBO. Great scores across the board, 259 out of 300. Really respectable numbers. And then something I think we just mentioned briefly, but Search Party season 4 in the number 4 spot. It's moved over to HBO Max. Yeah, 97 critics ranking on Rotten Tomatoes. Wow. 260 overall on that race to 300. And then that brings us to the top 3. Now, last week, Cobra Kai was number 1, Mandalorian number 2. And then actually Search Party we had on here came out on the 14th. So yeah, Search Party was number 3 last week. It's been bumped down to number 4, replaced by Gamora season 5 over on HBO Max.
That's the Guardians of the Galaxy spinoff?
Yeah, of course.
I assumed that this was like really fancy spanked revision that like maybe wouldn't be noticed on the expense report. Like, oh no, it's an art film. So if it was a 3 hour epic.
You're thinking of its companion series, Sodom.
Sodom, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like something, your company gets on a credit card statement after a business trip to Toledo.
What movie did you watch, Bill?
Here?
It was Sodom Inc. It was, yeah.
Yeah, 266, getting really close to that 300. Dropping from the number 1 spot, Cobra Kai, down to number 2 now, season 3, over on Netflix.
That's not bad. Number 2 is still a good spot for Cobra Kai.
Yeah. That is pretty good.
Crease is not going to be happy with that. It's number one or nothing, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Although Crease is doing the puppy dojo now. Do you guys see that?
No.
What?
Oh, he did a hilarious like American Express commercial where it's him just doing a Cobra Kai parody. And it's like Cutie Pie or something where they like have Pomeranians or I got to look this up for you after the show.
Oh, my God.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he was just in that VFW that I watched the other week. He was great.
Number one, excited to talk about. Actually, real quick, before I talk about the number one show, let's just go down. Number one for the Rotten Tomatoes audience score, Losing Alice over on Apple TV Plus as 100% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Gamora, which we just mentioned, 87% on or 8.7 rating on IMDb.
I literally don't know what either of those things
rated
are.
Show right now.
Like
an 8.7. Oh, a Losing Alice or a Gamora?
Yeah.
Losing Alice is a new Apple Plus show that just dropped. It's going week to week. Just dropped on the 22nd of January.
Wow.
Gamora's an Italian drama. I saw an ad for it. Is it sort of Sopranos-y maybe? Or there's something about that. I saw an ad for it and I was like, oh, this kind of looks interesting.
Man, I might have to watch the trailer for like all the top 10 shows next week, which actually I think that's the only one that I haven't seen. Oh yeah, that and the Discovery of Witches. I think I've seen an episode or a trailer for everything else.
I love having the power rankings like this now because it helps us figure out like, you know what, we should check in on like just a week of weird, what the hell are these top number one shows that we have?
What is everybody watching?
Right? And what we're experiencing is there's so many streaming services now that unless, like, we have most or all of these streaming services, but unless that's the one you're already watching that week, you don't see the ads. And so unless I'm watching Mythic Quest this week, which I've already watched the stuff I watch on Apple TV, so I haven't checked in on it in a little while. Consequently, I haven't noticed any other new show drops. And if I'm not on Hulu, I don't notice in and of itself drop.
By the way, it is worth noting that the power rankings were always at odds with us, so I wouldn't expect the top 10 power rankings to be shows we actually are going to enjoy.
Well, no, but
if anything, we just changed it up to like give ourselves more of an advantage.
Like, but if I come in a week and I'm like, what's a Tiger King? Like, I want to know.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is a shame because what we're seeing with Netflix, with shows like Tiger King and really anything Netflix puts out, is because everyone has Netflix, those are the shows they talk about. It used to be the networks. Anybody who had a TV antenna could be watching NBC, ABC, CBS, and you'd watch or you'd have, your drama, your comedy, and that would be your water cooler show. But now it's just all the Netflix stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like not just us, but like all our friends who, talk about movies and TV, they tend to lean really heavy in that direction just because that's what people are talking about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
where's the love for Quibi?
Is this going to be on Quibi?
For all the fringe networks. I was trying to think of something more fringe than Quibi and I couldn't. But real quick, finish it out. The number one show for the it has a number 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's also our number one show for the week, something we're going to talk about here in a second. Over on Hulu, it is the documentary In and of Itself, actually produced by Stephen Colbert.
Because it's directed by Frank Oz with music by Mark Mothersbaugh. There's quite a pedigree helping put this show together, the movie version of this show together.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little later, but that's got a 279 out of 300, so it might be sticking around for the next 6 weeks.
It's also still in its Rotten Tomatoes grace period of 100%.
Once they hear this, they're going to rip it a new one.
They're just, I feel like 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, WandaVision was probably sitting with a flawless Rotten Tomatoes ranking, and eventually things get dinged. There will be a backlash.
That is right now. WandaVision is 14 overall for the year, tied with Superstore, The Magician season 5, the M. Night Shyamalan Servant. Yep, all those number 14 spot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
Higher
you,
ranked than
Kyle.
Bridgerton. You're welcome, guys.
Thank you as always for the power rankings. Let's turn to our other regular segment, which is the TV diary. I believe all of us were like, "Oh yeah, I didn't watch as much TV this week," and I'm looking at my list, and it's still enormous.
Yeah.
This is what I watch when I don't watch much.
When I wasn't doing the TV homework, I still watched a lot of TV. Les, do you want to start us off this week?
Sure. So I am continuing on with the Magician's Rewatch. I was loaned all the books, and so I'm going through reading the books. Just finished season 5, finished the show, and just basically started a rewatch. We all dipped into comfort food TV this week, just for having various stress shit go on in our various lives. And Magicians is kind of been my I've seen this twice at least now. With the exception of season 5, which I've only seen once, and so it's a very familiar rewatch. I also cut through and watched snippets of I don't want to watch the whole late night show. I don't hear about all of it, but I've watched monologue snippets of almost all the late night shows on YouTube this week. Just kind of checking in on I'm missing John Oliver, but checking in on where late night is in the first post-Trump start of Biden kind of changeover in coverage, and it's interesting. I did the same thing.
The through jokes?
Not so much. I may not be catching enough
hit
of
on
it.
every single late night show.
Oh yes, yeah. Where we're
I drink my coffee and watch those, and there's usually one thing a day.
Gaga's bird. Gaga's bird.
Such a
Gaga's
tired
bird.
joke.
Gaga's bird. Gaga's bird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Although you sent us that thing on Instagram for the win.
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
get Gaga's bird to beat you up.
Oh my God, that shit was so good. Did you see Gaga's bird?
I watched it 20 times.
Thing's big as shit.
Put that in the TV diaries.
So I watched a bunch of late night. I watched a bunch of. There's 4 videos there, I believe, from TikTok originally. The first 3 got huge, and then the 4th one was done on Fallon. A guy named Lupin is a Montreal musician who made internet drama screenshots into songs, and I have watched those so many times already, and I found myself inadvertently whistling the butter one earlier today. Anyway, I of course watched Big Trouble in and of itself, the other homework, Batwoman. Rewatching The Great because, for me it's a rewatch. Fanny's never seen it, and so she's greatly enjoying it. We just watched the War and Vomit episode, which she was like, we got done. She's like, I don't know why I expected the War and Vomit episode to be not disgusting, but yeah, she had to look away at a couple points. And then I started watching. It's on Hulu now. I believe it was an Epic show, maybe, or USA.
Yeah.
Treadstone, which is set in the Bourne universe. I really enjoyed the Bourne Legacy movie, the one that tried kind of Halloween 3 style to make it into a franchise anthology, and everybody was like, no, Damon or nothing. And I enjoyed the Bourne movies generally, but I liked the Ludlum universe of it. Ludlum. And I've watched, God, 3 episodes of Treadstone. It's really fun. It follows several people. They've got all of these Bourne sleeper agent operatives that are getting woke up, and that's the whole issue with it. And you're also watching these flashbacks of who developed this program and how did various governments get their hands on it to set up their own programs that then created the problem that's happening in the modern time. But one of the main guys they're following is the cop in Sense8. And I can't place the actor's name, but it was one of those, I had to look him up of why do I like you immediately? Oh yeah, Sense8. I love you because you're on Sense8. And it definitely was thank God, better than generic action dude. I liked this guy a little bit better and plugged into it, and I will definitely keep watching Treadstone through season 1. It's kind of got I'm not saying it's as sharp dialogue as Killing Eve season 1 was, but it's kind of got that vibe of this is a good spy novel. I'm enjoying it.
Interesting.
Action scenes, the
Nice.
fucking fight scenes are real vicious. It actually made Batwoman problematic for me this week. Of like, I wish you had Treadstone's fucking fight coordinators.
Yeah. So I think I delved into sitcoms this week. I had kind of a rough week, and so I watched the latest episode of Zoe's. I randomly just it stuck in my head. I wanted to watch the episode. It's final season of Seinfeld. There's an episode that's all in reverse.
Memento style.
Yeah, they start with the end credits and then they keep jumping back. And it's really funny, and I was stuck in my head, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this, and so I watched that episode, and it held up for me. Since it was a really bad week, guys, I rewatched all of Ted Lasso. I watched the entire season in one day. I binged through that, which is always a good thing to get your mind right a little bit. Watched episode 3 of WandaVision, and was on the MCU pod on Friday to talk about that. Watched Unicorn since that came back. Watched the 4th episode of Mr. Mayor, and I believe that show may be dead to me, or at least dead to me till season 2 comes on, and see if it can make that jump. Because it's definitely this is like Parks and Rec territory. It's like, oh, this is not a good show. It's got a bunch of good people, and you're wasting them. And I want to see if it can do the jump that both 30 Rock and Parks and Rec did, but I don't. And so far, it is just not looking like it.
Well, Parks and Rec took a whole season, so who knows? Maybe Mr. Mayor.
It might. I just right now I think I'm writing it off. I watched 4 episodes of The Hustler, which is a game show with Craig Ferguson that I know Kyle you also watched. It's super fun. We're going to talk about that in a future episode. I watched the entire season 3 of The Detour, the formerly TBS. They're now on HULU, but it's the comedy with Jason Jones and Natalie Z, and it just getting crazier. And there's 4 seasons, so I'm going to burn through 4 seasons probably next week. I'm really enjoying it. I got onto a rewatch, and a rewatch and a new watch. So I've been posting about various things every day of like, here's a TV show I like, here's a comic I like. I fell off that order that this week too, but the last thing I posted about was Cougar Town. And it may remind me that I haven't seen all of Cougar Town. And I don't know where I came in. So I basically started from episode 1 and watched 15 episodes of Cougar Town. And there's 100 episodes of Cougar Town, guys. There's like 104 episodes of this show that barely was on the bubble the whole time. We're in a very weird TV state because this show it was like 100 episodes, and it was a weird failure, I think.
Yeah, but 100 episodes makes the syndication point, right?
Yeah. So I'm watching it. It's good from the very start, which I wasn't sure about. I watched episode 2 of Batwoman to prepare for this week. I watched about 4 episodes of Mad About You season 3, and then I watched 3 movies. I watched Big Trouble in Little China. I rewatched The Gentleman by Guy Ritchie, and I watched for the first time the Sam Raimi weird western Quick and the Dead, which I really enjoyed.
Oh man, I really enjoyed Quick and the Dead.
It's so good.
Oh.
It is so Sam Raimi, man. The bullet hole clock shots and stuff.
Yeah. It's not as weird as I was expecting. It's actually a pretty straightforward Western. It's just got some Raimi style.
And I feel like it riding that middle ground is why it did not actually, if I remember right, didn't do super well or wasn't incredibly well loved. I was working at a video store, I think, when that came out in high school.
Yeah.
And I remember the Raimi nerds didn't think it was Evil Dead enough, but your parents didn't think it was a normal enough way. Like, it was too weird to have Gene Hackman in it.
Yeah. And Gene Hackman plays a great villain in Westerns. Is this an Unforgiven, man? He's great in this.
But I think my parents wanted Unforgiven, and Quick and the Dead is not that.
No, very much not.
Sam Raimi's never making an Eastwood movie, man.
No. Kyle, what else? What you got on your list?
So I didn't write it in the spreadsheet, but I also caught the Unicorn this week, Randy.
Yeah.
And gosh, there's some stuff they lean into, like all the Friends that I love. But I feel like sometimes they lean too hard into Walton Goggins' character and his romance thing. I'm like, you got some better stuff in this show, guys.
Yeah, it was a weaker episode coming back. I agree.
Yeah, but Big Trouble in Little China. I'm really excited to talk about that later. I've been mentioning I catch all the late night. This week, Samantha Bee's back 2 episodes in to season 6, so I caught those. And then also, based on your guys' suggestions, I finally got around to Amber Ruffin, and she is hilarious.
She is so 110% Amber Ruffin. Like, she's just being herself to such a fucking degree that if there weren't lighting going on, I would swear there's no one else in the studio.
Yeah. Also, one of the I think all-time classic like co-host dynamics with her co-host where I was
Yeah.
like,
Real life
I have
friend
never
Tariq.
seen this before. And yeah, and it works so well. It's
Yeah.
so stinking good.
It also it adds to that feeling that they snuck into Seth Meyers' studio or stayed after work and just made the show.
Oh, let's see. WandaVision. Everybody's watching that. You mentioned The Hustler, which, gosh, that show gives me anxiety. I cannot watch more than 2 episodes in one night because you
When
get
they
to the end
start
of an
fighting
episode.
when they start
your heart's
fighting with each other
pounding.
sometimes, yeah, man, I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be here.
Well, it is the final moments of that. Just real quick on the premise, it's a kind of a bluff your neighbor game, but
Yeah.
it's all live on stage in front of a studio audience and
It's like playing
televised.
it's like playing werewolf for money.
Yeah. Or I'm a huge fan of Total Recall, the card game.
Yeah, it's one of those, the bluffing game, yeah.
Yeah, where one person is essentially well, in this case, the hustler, and you get down through these eliminations and the rule of the game, and there's a lot of money on the table at the end. And essentially, it's 3 people, one of them's lying, and the shit people will say to win like $100,000.
Oh yeah, 10,000.
And
It's not even 100,000. Oh, you're right. It's
on
10,000
one
per
of
question. Yeah, that's right.
well, I can't really give anything away.
No, we'll talk about it in a future episode. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but people turn it up to 11, and it's like a psychology experiment just live for you to view. No, it's fantastic. And then, kind of keeping in the theme of TV diaries this week, my comfort food binge was IT Crowd. Just starting over again from season 1. I ran through the first 5 episodes pretty quick.
Turned it off, turned it back on again.
What I really turn it off, turn it back on again. What I love about that show, in the very first episode, there's this great bit that kind of closes out the episode. It's like the big comedic bit where they finally, kind of shedded their nerd status, and they're having a party down in the IT department. And everybody's like, "You guys are awesome. You got any stories?" And the one character says to the other, "Hey, you should tell them this story about Amsterdam," and then walks in the other room. And then Richard Ayoade's Moss character then delivers the most embarrassing story about, we got these prostitutes, but then we were too scared to do anything, so we took them to the fair, but we had to pay for all the rides, but they only charged us half price for the sex because we didn't have any. And it's like, and everybody's like, and then the dude comes back in, he's like, "That's a hilarious story." And it's like, "You told me never to tell that story." And then they're all social pariah again. And I've probably seen that episode 20 times, and I still laughed just as hard as the first time I saw it when he walks back and he's like, "What did you say? What did you say?" Oh, it's so good. If you haven't watched the IT Crowd, it's on Netflix.
Yes.
It's so easy to like get your hands on, and man, it's such a joy.
All right. Well, that's our TV diary for the week. This is a good reminder that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're continuing our John Carpenter marathon. We're going to talk about Big Trouble in Little China. We also have our $20 showrunner level. So if there are shows you want us to throw into the rotation, you can buy into that level and give us a couple of ideas. We actually are going to be going back to season 2 of Dark Side of the Ring for our showrunner, I think in the next couple of weeks.
That's T-Thors. Shout out Tyler Thorson. Put it on the calendar. Thank you.
Let's talk about new business for the week, and let's start with a French show that Les put on the radar, Lupin, or is it Lupin?
Lupin is how I've always heard it said.
Oh, okay, all right.
So weirdly, this is also the main character from one of the only animes that I had seen prior to people making us watch anime. There was a Castle of Castigliano, I believe, is Lupin the Third, and it was a Miyazaki film, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was super fun. So this is a gentleman thief. He's a classic French character. and is Sherlock Holmes, but more Moriarty. He's but not. He's not trying to get a bunch of people killed, or he's not a Batman villain. He's just a gentleman rogue. And in this show, that the guy is not Lupin. He is another thief who is in modern times and is obsessed with the character and is definitely modeling all of his thefts and shit off of these books. And there's a hysterical running thing with one of the cops after him that's a lower ranked police officer who catches all of the references, and everybody's like, oh, is he going to play Quidditch next? Is it moving on to where's our Harry Potter killer? Like, put away your children's books, man. This is serious. You need to do what the captain said. And like, they just keep shining him on of like, shut up with your fucking YA novel. And I really enjoyed this. I'm a sucker for con artist hustle stuff. This guy has the main character. He's the guy that played Bishop in Days of Future Past. He's much better, I feel like, in this.
That's not Aldous Hodge from One Night in Miami,
right?
I was like, I didn't know that guy was French.
and so Omar Sy, I believe, is his name. And I felt like he did a great job. He both kind of changes his physical presence to either be, janitor schlubby or moneyed or whatever, depending on what he needs. Like he did the con artist bit real well for me. The whole show, I felt like, does a good job of setting up its little, you think it's this thing, but then it turns out he had this prepped kind of moments and stuff. It is coming under fire for having like no black women leads in the show. I mean, it seems like a fair criticism. It didn't disqualify the show for me.
I gotta say, for me, I was super excited to watch this, and I didn't wind up finishing it out. And I think what I realized in watching this is that when I watch my hustle shows, my con artist shows, I want something fun and flashy. I want Oceans 8 through 13. I want something lighter, and there can be serious, like you can have like the brother died, or you can have this. There's a serious consequence for it, but this is so serious and so built into his like childhood trauma, and him trying to get revenge for his father and that kind of stuff, that I wasn't having fun with it, and I think that kind of killed the vibe for me.
Yeah, it's more like watching this kid get. It's got a Count of Monte Cristo vibe. It's like watching somebody get vengeance kind of thing, more than it's. More than it's like a Guy Ritchie kind of fun thing.
Yeah. It's not Guy Ritchie. It's not Leverage. It's more grifters than it is anything else. Yeah. And I found that I don't have a love for like not that I don't love grifters, but I've only seen that one once, whereas I've seen Ocean's 11 100 times.
Yeah, and for me, the realism of like, I mean, it's not really like they drop a fucking Porsche or Lamborghini or something into the Louvre and stuff, but the kind of realism of what he's doing to me is appealing. Like, but you're right. That is a spectrum of con artist type stories.
Yeah. Kyle, what'd you think?
Oh, I love that they describe this show as gentleman. Oh, yeah, this wasn't for me, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I only got a couple episodes in. Which it's funny. Last year I skipped Ratchet. And I got shit from a friend of mine for like not watching any of it because it wasn't my thing. Yeah. And it's like crap. So this year I'm like set out. I'm gonna try not to skip anything. But yeah, again, this is described as gentleman thief. Like sets out to avenge his father. And I'm like, if it would have just been thief sets out to avenge his father, I feel like you could have had like more place to play around. But a gentleman thief, yeah, you're expecting Danny Ocean, wouldn't it technically be Oceans 12 through 8?
You're right.
With the way that they do numbers.
You're right.
But yeah, no, this is it's not Oceans 11, and we've been watching a lot of foreign stuff. I'll say what it is. We've been watching anime lately, so I've kind of gotten used to dubs and subtitles and getting into that. But I guess there's something about, I don't know. For something, this I had a little bit of trouble with both the dub version and the subtitles. And I guess my only thinking is with like an Ocean's 11 type movie, there's a lot happening and you want to be able to pick up on that subtext. Like when you see how they did it, you want to go, oh, I missed that thing, not go, oh, I couldn't tell what you're saying back then. So I didn't even know that this was a thing now.
I noticed on on Facebook and the handful of friends of mine that have watched it, the split on enjoying it or not seemed to be on whether or not it was watched in English or French. And I'm sure there's more to it than that, but like I flipped over to the English dub because I was watching the whole thing in French, and then I realized like, oh wait, not everybody might put up with this.
I started with English and went the other way.
So I flipped over to the English, and when I was like, he sounds like a kind of a dipshit now. Like I don't feel like this dude could pull off a con. Yeah. and you know, it's just not to knock. I don't even know who the dub actor was, and not to knock him, but he just sounded wrong combined with that guy's face. Maybe
that was me, Les. Thanks a lot. I worked really hard on that dub.
Maybe it was Omar Sy himself. I don't know. In which case, his American accent, it just doesn't work for me. Yeah. But so I'd watched the thing in French. I've also been doing Duolingo for like a year on French, so it wasn't. I couldn't follow it without the subtitles, but it wasn't as jarringly like, what are you saying? There were a couple times where I couldn't put up with the English dub, but there were a couple times where I paused the French because even in like my very limited like let's read Goodnight Moon level French, there was a point where somebody says like, fine, like, bien, and what it said in the subtitle was c'est la vie.
Yeah.
In the English subtitle. And I was like, you're not saying that because it's French. You're saying that because we have fully co-opted the phrase c'est la vie as an English thing. And that's not what the French speaking actor just said. I was like, oh my God, like the American version, like occasionally we Frenched up the French.
Yeah.
Apparently French doors aren't even French.
You know, and what about French fries? That's
freedom fries, Randy. Come on now.
Well, that sounds pretty French. All the grease and such.
So, Les, you suggested pairing this with another show this week, and that is In and of Itself over on Hulu.
Yes. In and of itself, this is one I keep seeing online posted. Is like, don't go in blind, don't go in knowing anything about it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody because it is fun. Like, it should surprise you or catch you off guard, I feel like. But at the same time, it's not like it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Like, the guy's not dead on the stage the whole time or something.
Right.
You know, you're not seeing ghosts or anything. But it is a stage show that is beautifully constructed as a monologue and as a performance. And the pedigree behind making the film of it is astonishing. Like Kyle mentioned earlier, Colbert produced it. Frank Oz directs it. Mark Mothersbaugh does the music. At one point, they pan across the audience because they performed this 500 something times in New York, and so some of the sometimes you're seeing multiple shots, like one after another, of 6 or 7 people from various performances, just to kind of give you the understanding that it adds to what he's doing, that you realize that he has repeated this, like he's pulled this off in some degree of success 500 times or 550 times or something like that. And at one point they pan across the audience and Bill Gates is there. Like, clearly the word got out. Like, there's been some famous people sit through this thing. And it's a small theater. I am a sucker for anything that involves obviously Lupin, like any con artist thing. I'm a sucker for anything that involves card tricks, sleight of hand, magic stuff, anything. And this is not what I would call a magic show, but it incorporates some principles of stage magic to perform this monologue. I think is probably the best way to put it. And the guy is exceptionally good at it. If he wanted to be a stage magician, I'm sure he could be, or he might be. I'd have never heard of this performer before, but the larger, I don't know, trick of how the monologue works really it will catch you off guard. I think I ended up crying. It is a very like kind of emotionally cathartic stage show. You can tell that it's incredibly moving for the people in the room, and I feel like Frank Oz did a great job of getting it across. I can see why this is just tearing up ratings. It seemed to be the surprise stealth thing on my Facebook feed of like, hey, please go watch In and of Itself like right now. At the start of it, it asks that you turn your phone off and like please actually watch it. Which I started
like don't Google what's going on
and just like don't just like put your phone
Just
away and actually
focus,
like
yeah,
as if
yeah.
you and I feel like it's because it's a stage show. Like please treat this like you walked in and sat down in the theater and saw it straight through. That said, I started it because I read that on my Facebook and it was already like 11 something at night. And it's an hour and a half performance. I started it a little bit too late. And so I ended up with like 30 minutes to go stopping it. It did not ruin it for me. I waited like 2 days and jumped back in. That said, I thought that was kind of cool that they asked that like, hey, this is a movie that you're watching of a filmed version of a live performance, but try to treat it like you came here.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's interesting ask. I like it.
And I need to look up that. I actually realized I don't even know the name of the guy that did that.
Okay.
And I need to look up Derek Delgaudio. Derek Delgaudio.
Yeah, if you look this up on IMDb, they actually list it as Derek Delgadio's In and of Itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder why it's credited as 2020 on here, because yeah, it definitely just came out on the 22nd.
It might have been one of those things that hit the festivals.
Maybe it did
or
fest or something.
Else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not actual festivals.
Because it's saying like
festivals.
initial release is what I'm seeing. I really enjoyed this. I mean, it's not going to solve your life or anything. Like I honestly don't want to proselytize it too hard because it is emotional enough and precious enough that the backlash is going to come. Like some people are going to mock the fuck out of this. That said, it is moving as hell.
Like Marie Kondo.
Right. Yeah,
for like a month, everybody's cleaning their closets, and then it's like, fuck this.
In another month, somebody's going to need something to write about on the internet, and it's going to be like, hey, thing you loved in January, but is it the worst?
All right, so let's change gears a little bit here. There is a new Batwoman in town, and we decided to check back in because it's season 2. Ruby Rose left the show under we don't know what circumstances. Because they kind of kept it. They basically were like, "Oh, she's leaving," and then so they brought in this new actress who I'm looking for on IMDb and I can't find her, but she plays Ryan Wilder, and it's an African American woman, which is something there aren't a lot of African American women superheroes, so that was kind of cool, and there's been 2 episodes. I watched both. Unless you watched both, I don't know, Kyle, if you watched any of this.
I watched the first one, but I'm definitely going to catch the second one and probably this whole season, actually.
So it's funny you say that because Les and I both talked about this a little bit off mic, and what we said is we watched the first episode and kind of liked it, we're interested, and then the second episode put us both off to the point where I'm not sure we're going to keep up with the show.
Ooh, interesting. Do tell. Spill the beans on the new Batwoman.
Javicia Leslie is her name.
Okay.
And she's I really like the actress that they cast for Batwoman. So the first episode back, I didn't mind Ruby Rose on it, and I checked in on it last season, and then enjoyed the crossover, obviously. But
for sure.
But it seemed like whatever happened, it seemed like everybody handled the leaving by not going out and talking trash about each other, which is classic.
It's nice. Yeah.
At least it helps the show. And then I really liked what they did with the recasting because I'll be real. I don't give a fuck about Batman stories right now. It's been a long couple of years of me going, you know what? I don't think the solution to cops is to put Elon Musk in a like crazy vigilante suit, because like the problem isn't that police just can't go far enough.
Right.
Elon Musk is Iron Man. Oh, terrifying.
Yeah, and like so anyway, I haven't really wanted a Batman delays in the Batman movie and stuff. Like I don't want Robert Pattinson to be sick, but like I don't give a shit. I don't care about the Batman movie.
Yeah.
Recasting Batwoman with a homeless black girl is a decent move to make me go okay.
Yeah.
Because I like what they did in the first episode. It's CW. It's like she's sleeping in like the Scooby Mystery Machine van, and
It is CW homelessness for
it
sure.
is CW homelessness. Like there's this perfect moonlit spot under the by a bridge where she's got a van parked and no tickets, and
she's definitely still got showers and makeup somehow.
And she's talking to her house.
She's just watching some Netflix on her iPad,
right?
Stealing Wi-Fi from a convenience store.
And a plane crashes directly in front of her, and she runs out and finds the bat suit, which. Whatever, it's a comic book. It's fine. I love the take of like you find the bat suit when you're utterly powerless, and because you've lived in Gotham for a minute, you know that this suit has some shit going, and there's just an immediate like I will never be fucked with again, and we've seen that a little bit in the Batman comics before, but it's usually handled with like, and then this psychopath gets the suit. And I loved that, like, she's a decent person. I mean, they are going with every cliche. Like, she's been
she's wrongfully accused,
and then pleaded into jail, and now she can't get a job. But she's got, I don't like that all of her. I don't know. It's a little weird. Like all of her skills for this seem to come from being in prison wrongfully.
Yeah,
but it does add up to a more interesting Batman to me.
Well, no, she's got martial arts training.
Oh yeah, she does.
Yeah.
She does, but like her they're leaning on like her prison experience and stuff is like, well, maybe I'll be a different person to go after criminals. The second episode, so I really enjoyed the first episode back. The second episode, they flirt with her killing, and she really wants to, and nobody understands why nobody's killed Alice yet, which is great.
It's the Batman Joker thing all over again. Yeah.
And I like that they've dangled out the discovery of the secret that not every the kind of open secret that Alice is the head of security guy's daughter. But I'm glad they came down on them not like, hey, if you're going to be Batwoman, she has a code you can't kill. It's going to fuck up Kate's legacy and the whole legacy of the like you can't wear that. It'd have to be a different suit. And I liked that they came down on that, but it seems like I can't remember the kids of Lucien Fox's nephew or kid, whatever his name is in the show. Luke Fox. So he's just angry and shitty the whole second episode. Yeah. And like the sister is just like, I mean, I get that they're trying to show the trauma of losing Kate and all of this stuff, but it's not coming off as well. Like, by the end of the second episode, I was like, I don't want to watch the scenes of the three of y'all together. I don't like this dynamic of y'all. I immediately was like, I'm going to check back on this show, but I want to give y'all 3 or 4 episodes to become friends because I'm hating watching this happen. Like, I hate watching them hate each other.
Can I throw a little fun fact in there while we're on the subject?
Yeah.
Kind of tertiary. I just learned that Titans, which I guess is on HBO Max now, it was DC Universe.
And somehow
they are going to be introducing Oracle, and they have actually cast an actress who's in a wheelchair.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, they've talked about like. Well, that was my first thought. I was like, oh, that's great that they're going to actually get somebody who's, disabled. Actually, I'm not sure what the term is, so I apologize if it's not disabled, but somebody who's in a wheelchair. But then she goes on to say, oh, yeah, I've been doing tons of stunts. And I'm like, what?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oracle doing stunts? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. So I got to say, when I got back into this, I felt ready. We've been a little down on WandaVision compared to other stuff, and I immediately was like, WandaVision may not be what I want it to be, but at least it feels like a product. It doesn't feel like kids putting on a show, and CW really does feel like just teenagers putting on a show at this point. I watched this and I was like, I love the idea here. I love that there is a homeless black girl who becomes Batgirl. I am amused by some of the weird, like they got some deep cut stuff here. They've got Julia Pennyworth, Alfred's like niece, is in this, and they bring in Tommy Elliott as Hush playing Bruce Wayne. Like I was surprised by some of the deep cuts. But also, like, and they reference Supergirl, and I'm like, oh, right, I loved the Supergirl Batwoman thing that they had done. But then there's this bit, it all hinges on this bit of kryptonite that is the only thing that can penetrate the Batsuit, and the Batsuit has all this stuff. And I'm like, you're not fucking Iron Man. Like, the suit should not be that important. As a symbol, it should be important. But I don't want it to be like an armored costume with all these buttons you push. And that's what it felt like. They were wanting to do the Greatest American Hero or someone gets the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want that from Batwoman. That is the opposite of what I want from a Batman type thing. And I felt like it was a bad fit. And I felt like they were doing a lot of stuff with that.
Thomas Elliott was cool, but like they could have done the Hush story, but like gender flipped it and did somebody who was like a clone or like a plastic surgery lookalike of the new Batwoman. That could have been way more interesting. She could have played double herself, Winklevoss twin style.
I think that Hush, the one thing I was glad that they didn't do is like have him be Bruce Wayne for multiple episodes.
Yeah.
I like that they spotted that right away. The Julia Pennyworth is like, yeah, he was acting weird, so I checked his fingerprints and it's not him.
Yeah, I actually was mad at Fox for like not catching it and like just showing him into the cave. But I did I did enjoy, I mean, they came back strong with that, with the fake Bruce and the Batmobile. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping when I check back in on this in 3 or 4 episodes, they will have had some episode where everybody becomes friends. Because I also didn't like watching Cisco be a jerk with everybody in Flash. Like, so I'm going to give them a few episodes for everybody to become friends and for her to have a training montage where she learns how to work a grapple gun. I do like the book carrying forward of like Kate was writing these open letters to Bruce. It is CW. It is so on the nose. But I do like it as like, and now she's carrying on writing these letters to Kate. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I liked it well enough, and I like the cast well enough, and the production values are nice enough that I'm like, when they do the crossover, if they do a crossover this year, that's what I always like to watch. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to watch the Superman and Lois show too, but I probably will watch only like a couple episodes. I feel like CW shows, with the exception of Stargirl, which had a shortened episode order, they never keep my attention, and I think that that's part of it.
Legends is. As we've talked about before, that's like Critical Role, the TV show or something. I mean, like they're just like that's just a bunch of people cosplaying DC superheroes, and I'll watch all of it.
Yeah, Legends is my guilty pleasure in this. Well, actually, I was an original Smallville super fan, but
yes, I watched all of Smallville.
I looked at my dedication into Smallville, and then when it was Arrow and Flash and everything, I was like, oh, I can't do all these shows. I don't have as much bandwidth for them.
I think last week we talked about like pilots that we still bomb on people. If it was just one episode, it was when we were talking about WandaVision. If it was just one episode, you'd still show people. The Aquaman pilot is not one of those. There is a Smallville spinoff Aquaman pilot, and
is that Aquaman with the Blue Mountain State guy?
No, it's not even him. I wish it was that dude.
Mercy Reef, wasn't that what it was called? Mercy Cove, something like that?
No, it was actually Aquaman.
Was it called Aquaman? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was
called Entourage.
It's pronounced Entourage. Yeah.
The Vinny Chase story.
Well, all right, guys. This is thank you for being here. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Les.
Yeah.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Reminder that if you are a patron, you can listen to our talk about Big Trouble in Little China. If you're not a patron, go over to patreon.com/tvdude, throw us a buck, and you can listen not only to that episode, but hundreds of other episodes of us talking about various non-TV related things.
Son of a bitch must pay.
And until next
Carpenter as of late.
And until next time,
TV Dude's out.
TV Dude's out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.